Every analyst I know says that they're using AI, but then I watch them work. And what do? They open up ChatGPT or Claude and put in some documents and just ask it to summarize. That's like buying a Bloomberg terminal and then asking it what the Apple stock price is. So let me show you what an actual AI workflow looks like. So the first thing I like to do is build a knowledge base for the company. So I upload every single sell side report I can find into Notebook LM. So for example, here I've uploaded JP Morgan reports, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America, etc. Since they're one of the highest density sources of information available. And most analysts have already done a huge amount of work understanding the business model, the key drivers, building financial forecasts, discussing risk, and valuing the company. So instead of reading 15 reports one by one, I can just let Notebook LM synthesize them so that I can just ask them higher value questions. Now, there are some key distinctions here between Notebook LM and other AI. So, since Notebook LM is grounded, there are certain questions that would be extremely useful to ask them, like cross report questions, and some questions that are better suited for Claude or ChatGPT. So, since I already use Notebook LM for my own research, let me give you an example. How I was already researching Sunny Heavy, I basically found out that they are yeah, this is the third thesis. So they are basically pivoting into an AI native setup, with Pony AI autonomous trucks and OnePlus flow platooning. Basically, they're integrating AI into all of their processes. But I think the market hasn't yet caught up with these developments and they're still very early stage. So they're not included in the sell side reports. And I was essentially able to see that by just asking it, do any of these state that Sunny is making a pivot to becoming AI native? And it basically tells me that none of them have said that. So you can clearly see that the market is not pricing this in. Those are just one of the use cases you can use it for. And if, for example, you don't have any sources or sell side information, sell side reports, what you can do is you can just come and paste this prompt here, and you can press deep research, and you can upload that into Notebook LM, and it will essentially create a report by itself that you will be able to query using sources that are slightly better than the basic sources that you get from ChatGPT or any other AI. Right, so we can see that it's essentially taken 20 sources and created a report here. You can just press import and it will import all of those sources as well as the report that it's gotten. So now this will give you a significantly better output than your generic LLM, right? That's basically the use case here. So once I've built an understanding of the business, I move it to Claude, where I start automating the actual analysis and generating research. And this is where I think most analysts go wrong using AI. So here we're not going to use Claude like a normal chatbot. Instead, we're going to treat it like another analyst on the team. And just like a real analyst, first you need to train it, and then it will produce great work. Essentially, what we want to do here is open up Claude or Claude Cowork and create a new project. For example, if we're analyzing Thomson Reuters, we create the project. Next, we want to add context and we want to add skills to this. So for skills, what you want to do is go to Anthropic's financial services plugin. So you can just search up the plugin and it should be the first result. You can open it and download it right here. Download zip, and it should download like this. And here, what you want to do is click on plugin, vertical plugins, and equity research. And then you compress equity research into a zip file. And this zip file goes directly into Claude. So how you add skills is very simple. What you do is you customize and you go to add and press upload plugin, browse files, and we're just going to click on this and press open. And that should show you the plugin. Now I've already uploaded it, so you can just see it right here. And within these skills, we have multiple things that we can do here. And some of my favorites are initiating coverage, idea generation, as well as earnings analysis. So those are the three key skills that we'll be using today. So let's go back to our project. And now what we want to do is if you press slash, you can do the equity research plugin, right? So now I can select something like earnings analysis for Thomson Reuters, and that's it. And it should give me a structured response as per the skill. So let's see what it comes up with. So now it's given us a very structured um, essentially framework that we can use here. For example, I can say, yes, I want the Q1 2026 quarter analyzed, and my current is an overweight, and the price target, for example, and I just input 161, and I can select what I believe are the thesis points and any other document I have. Don't have any, that's also all right because it'll go and collect it from the internet. So let's see what kind of response we get from Claude here. So now we can see exactly where it's going. It's going to various websites, going to Yahoo Finance, investing.com, tip ranks, and all of the sources are mentioned in that particular skills file, right? And then it's going to SEC, which is what it's been told to do to get the accurate numbers. So now that Claude is finally done, let's open this up in a Google Doc and see what it gave us. So the first thing I like to see here is the summary has a beat and miss section, and it's given us, directly the numbers along with the investment highlight, the updated financial estimates, and um, the quarterly revenue progression, along with a more granular segment level analysis in the form of a table and some other financial metrics that are useful, along with, the guidance. For example, here we have what they guided in 2026, and this is the segment revenue I was talking about. And we can also look at the thesis, right? So if you gave it what you thought your thesis was, it will tell you whether it's been strengthened or broken, or if it remains unchanged, which is, I think, extremely useful. And apart from that, it will also give you some quotes from the earnings call itself, along with the sources and references to make sure that everything is accurate. Now, if you want this document, you can just drop your email down below or email me and ask for it, and I'll send it to you in a Google Doc along with the other outputs I got. So when I was referring to the other documents, I was referring to this one, which you get along with the financials when you do initiating coverage in the skills. And essentially, it gives you a very comprehensive overview of the company, the industry, the management, and it also cites the sources as well. And it's extremely useful compared to just prompting AI to get all of this information out. And it, along with this, it also creates a financial document. Here you can see where it's created the revenue model uh, along with very granular data like the segment revenue growth. Obviously, it's only a first draft because AI is not gonna make the correct assumptions based on judgment. So that is kind of up to you. But as a first draft, I think it's pretty useful. So I'll attach this as well. You can have a look at it when you want. So now that you're done with, analyzing the company and actually getting some research output from it, what's the next most important part is monitoring the company and your thesis, as well as any catalyst that you're expecting to play out. And for that, I like to use Perplexity Computer because it has some built-in functions that are, extremely useful. So let me just share my screen here. And as you can see, this is kind of built with Perplexity Computer. And what it shows you is what your watch list is, what the companies here are, and what the catalysts are expected, for example. And then it shows you upcoming events, etc. And if you scroll down to the bottom, then the density of the catalysts. Right here, you can see for each individual company what the catalysts are and when they're expected to happen, as well as a sentiment analysis for each of them. So this is something that you can basically create on Perplexity yourself, or use some of these, pre-made tools as well. But personally, I will be working on a lot of these custom solutions. So you feel free to check out the next couple of videos that will be made, on similar lines.